The year was 2095, and the Earth was very different from before. The sky was often gray, the rivers were dirty, and many cities were empty. After many years of war, sickness, and natural disasters, people were tired and scared. Technology was very advanced, but hearts were broken. In one small city, there lived a girl named Asha. She was 17 years old, with dark hair and bright, curious eyes. Her name meant hope, but she did not feel very hopeful. Her parents used to tell her stories about old times, when children played in green parks, birds sang in the morning, and people laughed together without fear. Now the streets were quiet, and most people stayed inside. Many had lost family members, jobs, homes, and even their dreams. Asha lived with her grandmother Nani in a tiny apartment at the edge of the city. Her parents had disappeared during the last great storm, when the sea rose and swallowed many houses. Nobody knew exactly what happened, but Asha still believed, deep inside, that they might be alive somewhere. Every morning, Asha walked through the silent streets to get water from a public station. The pipes in their building were old and broken. She passed by closed shops, broken windows, and faded posters that once promised a bright future. On one wall, there was a painted message: "We are still here." Asha liked that message. It made her feel less alone. One day, as she walked back with her heavy water container, she saw a small group of people standing near the old library. The library had been closed for many years. The roof was damaged, and the windows were dusty. But today, something was different. A woman in a yellow scarf was speaking to the group with energy and passion. "We cannot wait for others to fix everything," the woman said. "We are still alive. We still have hands, minds, and hearts. We can start small. We can help each other." Asha stopped and listened. The woman's voice was strong and warm. She was talking about rebuilding the neighborhood, cleaning the streets, growing food in empty lots, and sharing books, skills, and stories. She said that even in the darkest time, humanity's spirit could not be broken. People had always survived, learned, and grown again. Asha felt a strange feeling in her chest. It was not exactly happiness, but it was not sadness either. It was something like a tiny flame. The woman noticed Asha and smiled at her. "You look curious," she said. "What is your name?" Asha felt shy, but she answered, "My name is Asha." The woman's eyes lit up. "Hope," she said. "That is a beautiful name. We need hope here. We are starting a community group. We want to bring life back to this city, one step at a time. Will you join us?" Asha looked around. The people gathered there were not special. They were old men, tired mothers, a boy in a wheelchair, a teenager with paint stains on his hands, a teacher with glasses. But something about them was different from the other people in the city. Their eyes were not empty. Their eyes were awake. Asha thought about her Nani, about her parents, about the words on the wall. "We are still here." She took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes," she said slowly. "I will join you." In that moment, Asha did not know how hard the journey would be, or how many times she would feel like giving up. She did not know how many tears, losses, and challenges were ahead. But she also did not know how much strength lived inside her, or how powerful people could be when they stood together. She only knew one thing. Something inside her had woken up, and it did not want to sleep again. The next week, Asha began to meet with the community group every afternoon. They called themselves the Rebuilders. The woman in the yellow scarf, whose name was Layla, was their leader, but she liked to say, "We all lead together." The first task they chose was simple but important: to clean the main street and the small park that lay forgotten at the center of the neighborhood. Many people in the city laughed when they saw them working. "What is the point?" some said. "The world is broken. You cannot fix it with a broom and a trash bag." But Layla only smiled and answered, "If we clean one street, people will walk there more happily. If we clean one park, children will play there. If we show that we care, others may start to care too." Asha swept the street with an old broom, feeling dust rise around her. Her back hurt, and her hands became rough. But when she saw a little boy smiling as he helped pick up plastic bottles, her tiredness felt lighter. The boy told her, "I have never seen the ground here before. It was always covered in trash." Slowly, day by day, the park began to change. The rebuilders pulled out weeds and planted seeds. They painted the old swings and repaired the broken benches with pieces of wood and metal they found. A teenager named Sami used his art skills to paint bright murals on the park walls. Pictures of trees, birds, stars, and people holding hands. Asha's favorite mural was one that showed a girl standing in front of a broken city, holding a small light in her hands. Above her were the words, "Our spirit is stronger than our pain." At first, only the rebuilders came to the park. But as the weeks passed, more people began to join. A tired nurse left flowers on a bench. An old musician brought his guitar and played soft songs in the evening. A group of children started a game of tag, their laughter filling the air like music. Asha watched them and felt something growing in her chest again. She realized that even if the world was still damaged, moments of joy could still exist. One day, as Asha and Layla were watering the plants, a serious-looking man in a gray coat approached them. He was from the city council, an official. Many people did not trust officials anymore. But Layla greeted him politely. "Your group has made a lot of noise," he said, but there was a small smile on his face. People are talking, some are complaining, but many are impressed. The council is considering giving you permission to use the old library building for community work, but we are not sure. Do you really think this will change anything? Asha was surprised when Layla stepped aside and said, Asha will answer you. Asha's heart jumped. She was not used to speaking to officials. But she looked around at the clean street, the blooming flowers, the children playing, the fresh colors on the walls. She remembered the empty days before this. She thought about how alone she had felt. Then she looked at the man and said, maybe we cannot change the whole world, but we can change how it feels to live here. Before, people were afraid and sad. Now they come to the park and talk to each other. They help us. They smile. Maybe hope is not a big thing that comes all at once. Maybe it is many small things that grow together. That is what we are doing. The man listened carefully. For a moment, Asha worried she had said something wrong. But then he nodded slowly. I see, he said. The spirit of the people is not broken yet. Perhaps we should not ignore that. A week later, the rebuilders received the news. The city council had given them permission to use the old library. The building was still damaged, but it was theirs now. A place where they could gather, share, and create. Asha felt proud, not only of herself but of everyone who had worked together. She understood that real power was not just in machines, money, or big speeches. Real power was in people who refused to give up, even when everything around them told them to stop. Humanity's spirit, she thought, is like a seed. It waits, silent, under the soil. Even when the ground is dry and the sky is dark, the seed does not forget how to grow. It only waits for a little water, a little light, and a little care. The old library was dusty, cracked, and full of broken shelves when the rebuilders first walked inside. Sunshine entered through the broken roof in thin lines, making the dust look like tiny stars floating in the air. Many of the books were damaged by water or mold, but some were still safe. Asha picked up a storybook with torn edges and smiled. Knowledge survived, Layla said softly. Even after so much disaster, these words are still here, waiting for new eyes. The group decided to turn the library into a center of light. It would be a school, a shelter, a clinic, a food kitchen, and a place for art and music, all in one. It sounded impossible, but they had learned that big dreams could start from small steps. First, they cleaned the main hall. Volunteers came from all over the neighborhood. Some washed the floors, others fixed the walls, and some carefully arranged the books that could still be read. A retired engineer repaired the solar panels on the roof, so the building could have electricity without using the broken city grid. For the first time in years, the library was filled with real light at night. Children came in the evenings to learn to read and write. Many of them had never gone to school properly, because schools had closed during the years of war and sickness. Asha, who had always loved learning, became a teacher for the younger children. She used simple words, pictures, and stories to help them. She told them about history, science, and different cultures. But she also listened to their own stories, their fears and dreams. One girl said, I want to become a doctor, but everything is too broken. Asha answered, the world needs doctors more than ever now. We will help you learn. Even if you can save just one life, that is already a miracle. In another room, a doctor named Rahim started a small clinic. He had few medicines, but he had a gentle heart and great skill. He treated wounds, gave advice, and taught people how to care for their own health. In the kitchen area, volunteers cooked simple meals from food grown in the community gardens. Nobody was turned away, even if they could not pay. Instead, people helped by working, cleaning, or teaching something they knew. The center of light became a place where loneliness had less power. People who had lost everything found a chair, a cup of soup, a book, and a kind word. Some came in broken, with tears in their eyes, and left still sad but a little stronger. Not everyone liked what the rebuilders were doing. A group of men, who controlled some of the city's resources, felt threatened. They made money from people's fear and weakness. They sold water at high prices, spread lies, and wanted everyone to depend on them. One evening, a man from that group came to the library. He stood in the doorway and shouted, You are giving people false hope. The world is hard. There is no future for them. Better to accept it and follow those who have power. The people in the library fell silent. A few children hid behind the shelves. Asha felt anger rising inside her, but also fear. Layla stepped forward calmly. We know the world is hard, she said. We have lost homes, families, and safety. We are not blind, but we also know that as long as we breathe, we can think, we can care, and we can choose. Hope is not a lie. It is a decision. The man laughed harshly. Big words, he said. Time will break you. Just wait. After he left, many people felt shaken. Some whispered, maybe he is right. Maybe this will all collapse. Asha went home with heavy steps. That night, she sat by the small window in her room, looking at the dark city. What if we are only delaying the pain? She asked Nani quietly. Nani looked at her with tired but wise eyes. My child, she said, pain comes whether you sit in the dark or light a candle. The question is, do you want to face it alone or together? When people join hands, their spirit becomes strong. Even if everything falls in the end, it is better to spend our days helping and loving than hiding and fearing. Asha thought of the children's faces, the doctor's careful hands, the hungry people sharing bread, the books saved from dust. She remembered the message on the wall, "We are still here." She realized that even if the future was uncertain, the present was real and alive. Helping one person, teaching one child, saving one book, these were not small things. They were proof that humanity's spirit was still burning. The next morning, Asha returned to the library with new determination. The others came to. They were quiet at first, but when they saw each other, they smiled. Without needing many words, they all understood the same truth. They were afraid, but they were not giving up. The center of light remained open. Months passed, and the city slowly began to change. Other neighborhoods started their own small projects, inspired by the rebuild. Some created rooftop gardens, others opened small learning centers or repair shops. The center of light became a symbol, not just in their city, but in nearby towns as well. People started to say, if they can rebuild with so little, maybe we can too. But just when things seemed to be improving, a new disaster came. Heavy rains fell for days without stopping. The old drainage systems of the city were broken and blocked. Water rose in the streets, turning them into dangerous rivers. The wind howled, and lightning tore across the sky. People were afraid this would be like the great storm that had taken Usha's parents. The rebuilders worked day and night, helping people reach higher ground, moving food and medicines to safer places, and opening the library as a shelter. Families slept on the floor between bookshelves, wrapped in blankets. Children cried as they listened to the rain beating on the roof. Asha helped carry supplies, her clothes soaked and her arms trembling with fatigue. She felt like a small boat in a huge, wild sea. At one moment a loud crack was heard. Part of the library's roof collapsed, letting water fall inside. People screamed and ran to safer corners. Usha's heart raced. She saw Sami, the young artist, lying on the floor near the broken roof, hit by falling debris. Without thinking, she rushed to him, dragging him away with the help of two others. His head was bleeding, but he was breathing. Dr. Rahim quickly took him to the clinic room. Usha's hands shook as she watched. "Is he going to die?" she whispered. Dr. Rahim looked serious but calm. "I will do my best," he said. "You do your best too. Keep the others safe. We are not done yet." Outside, the floodwater rose higher. Some said, "We should leave the city. This place is cursed." Others argued, "Where will we go? Everywhere is broken." Fear spread like a cold wind. A few people began to blame the "You made us believe things could get better." One man shouted at Layla now. "Look, everything is falling apart again. Your hope is a trick." Layla's face was pale with tiredness, but her eyes stayed steady. "Hope is not a promise that nothing bad will happen," she replied. "Hope is the strength to stand up again when bad things do happen." That night was one of the hardest in Esha's life. The storm raged, the roof leaked in several places, and people were wet, cold, and hungry. A baby cried for hours, and the mother had no milk left. An old man coughed heavily and could hardly breathe. Asha moved from person to person, giving water, holding crying children, telling stories to distract scared minds. Inside herself, however, she felt close to breaking. "Why does this keep happening?" she thought. "Why must people suffer so much? Maybe the man was right. Maybe the world is too broken. Maybe we are fooling ourselves." In a quiet corner of the library, she sank to the floor and covered her face with her hands. Tears mixed with the rainwater on her cheeks. For a moment, she wanted to give up, to lie down and let the storm take everything. Then she felt a soft hand on her shoulder. It was her Nani. Although Nani was weak and old, she had refused to stay home and had come to the library with everyone else. "My child," Nani said gently, "look around you." Asha lifted her head. She saw tired people, yes, but she also saw strangers sharing blankets, neighbors feeding each other, and volunteers checking on the sick. Dr. Rahim was still working, his eyes heavy but focused. Layla was standing with a group, making a plan to lead people to the upper floors if the water kept rising. Sami, though injured, was still alive. Someone had even lit a small candle near the doorway, its tiny flame shining stubbornly against the darkness. "Do you see?" Nani said. "The storm is strong, but people are still helping each other. Their bodies are weak, but their hearts are not. This is humanity's spirit. It bends, but it does not break." Asha wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. Her body still hurt, but there was a new strength in her chest. She got up and went back to work. She sang soft songs to calm the children. She helped move books and supplies away from the water. She held the hand of the old man who was coughing and whispered, "You are not alone." By morning, the rain finally began to slow. The floodwater was still high, but the worst had passed. The city was damaged again, but not destroyed. The library's roof was broken, but the building still stood. Many people were injured, but most had survived. When the sun finally appeared, weak but real, it shone on tired faces that were lined with pain, and also with something else. That something else was quiet but powerful. It was the knowledge that they had faced the storm, and had not abandoned each other. They were still here. The weeks after the storm were full of hard work. The city, already damaged from past disasters, now had new wounds. Many homes were unlivable, roads and bridges were broken, and the water system was even worse than before. But something had changed in the hearts of the people. They had survived together in the library, sharing fear, food, and courage. Now, When they looked at each other, they did not only see strangers, they saw partners in struggle. The rebuilders did not stop their work. Instead, their group became larger. People who had once laughed at them now came to help. The men who used to sell water at high prices lost some of their power, because the community learned how to collect and filter rainwater. Skills and knowledge were shared freely. Dr. Rahim trained young people to help with medical tasks. A group of women started a sewing workshop to make clothes and blankets from old fabric. Engineers and builders showed others how to make strong, simple homes that could stand storms better. Asha continued teaching in the library during the day, and in the evenings she joined planning meetings with Layla and others. She was not the same shy girl who had first passed by the library months ago. She still felt fear and sadness sometimes, but she had learned to move forward even with those feelings. One evening, as the sun set over the damaged but living city, Layla gathered everyone in the park. The trees the group had planted were now small but strong, their leaves a bright green. Children ran around them, playing games. Adults sat on benches, talking and laughing softly. Sami, with a bandage still faintly visible on his head, unveiled a new mural on the park wall. It showed people standing together, their hands connected, forming the shape of a giant heart. Above them was the sky, no longer gray but colored with soft blues and golds. At the top of the painting were the words, "Humanity's spirit can't be broken." Layla spoke to the group, but her voice was gentle, not like a leader standing above others, more like a friend sitting among them. "We have lost so much," she said. "Family, homes, a sense of safety. We have felt fear, anger, and deep pain. But in our darkest nights, we also found something else inside us. We found that we can still care, still share, still dream. We found that our spirit is not something the world can easily destroy." She pointed to the mural. "These words are not just beautiful, they are our truth. Our spirit bends, it cries, it falls to its knees, but it also rises again. We are proof of that. Look around you. This park, this library, these gardens, these friendships, they did not fall from the sky. We built them, together, with our tired hands and hopeful hearts." Asha felt tears in her eyes, but they were not only sad tears. They were full of warmth. She thought of her parents and wondered where they were. If they were alive, she hoped they would be proud of her. If they were gone, she felt sure they would still be happy to see what she had become. Later that night, as the stars appeared in the clear sky, Asha sat on the library roof, near the repaired panels, looking out over the city. Lights from small solar lamps and fires glowed here and there. The city was scarred, but it was also shining. Nani sat beside her, wrapped in a shawl. "When I was young," Nani said, "I thought strength meant never crying, never needing help. Now I know the strongest people are the ones who keep going, even when they are scared, and who hold others' hands when they are weak." Asha nodded. "I used to think I was just one small person," she said. "Now I see that one person can be part of something big. I cannot change the whole world, but I can help change my part of it. And when many people do that together, the world does change." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the soft sounds of the city at night. Somewhere, a baby laughed. Somewhere else, someone sang. The wind was cool but gentle. Asha closed her eyes for a moment and felt a deep peace inside. She knew that there would be more storms, more losses, and more challenges ahead. Life would never be perfect or easy. But she also knew something even more important. No matter what happened, the human spirit, the quiet inner fire that made people love, help, learn, and dream, would continue to burn. It might become small at times, like a tiny flame in a cold room, but it would not go out as long as people chose to protect it with kindness and courage. She opened her eyes and whispered to the night, "We are still here, and we are not broken." Far away, in other cities and villages, other people were also rebuilding, also helping each other, also refusing to let their hearts turn to stone. They did not know Asha's name, and she did not know theirs, but they were connected by something invisible and strong. It was the shared spirit of humanity, and as long as that spirit lived, there was always a chance for a new dawn, for healed wounds, and for a world that, slowly, carefully, bravely, learned to rise again. The morning after the city gathering, Asha woke up with a strange mix of excitement and fear in her heart. The world around her was still damaged, but something new was beginning to rise from the ruins, just like small green plants pushing through cracks in the ground. She stepped outside and felt the cool morning air on her face. The streets were still wet from the storm, but the sky was clear and soft. People were already gathering near the center of light, talking and planning the day's work. Asha saw Layla speaking with a group of builders, pointing toward a broken bridge in the distance. The bridge was important because it connected their neighborhood to the northern part of the city, where farms and clean water sources used to be. Without the bridge, people had to walk long, dangerous roads. Rebuilding it would help everyone. When Asha entered the library, she saw children waiting eagerly for lessons. Their clothes were simple and old, but their faces were bright with curiosity. Some were drawing in their notebooks, while others looked at the saved books on the shelves. Asha felt a warmth in her chest. Just months ago, this place had been dark and silent. Now it was full of voices, learning, and life. She taught them about science, telling them how plants grew, how rain formed, and how sunlight helped the earth. Their eyes shined with wonder, as if she were telling them magic. But she also taught them about courage and unity. You are the future, Asha told them. The world will heal if you grow strong, kind, and wise. After the lesson, Asha met with Layla, who asked her to join the group going to inspect the damaged bridge. Asha agreed. They walked through muddy streets, passing fallen poles and broken walls. The air smelled of wet earth, smoke, and new beginnings. Many people greeted Asha and Layla, offering help or sharing tools. Some carried wood, others pushed carts of stones. Hard work had brought the city together. When they reached the river, they saw the bridge. Half of it had collapsed into the water, leaving a wide gap. The remaining half stood uneven and dangerous. The river itself was calmer than during the storm, but still fast. Asha felt afraid as she looked at the damage. Can we really fix this? She asked quietly. Layla smiled gently. Everything looks impossible at first, but we build it one step at a time, one stone at a time, with many hands working together. A retired engineer named Ibrahim was already examining the support beams. He explained that the lower part of the bridge was still strong enough to rebuild on, but they would need more materials, more workers, and careful planning. It will take time, Ibrahim said, but it is possible. For the next several days, Asha helped wherever she could. She carried stones and wood, measured distances, and even learned how to tie strong knots with rope. Her hands became rough, her legs ached, and her clothes were often dirty, but she worked with pride. She saw old men teaching young boys how to hammer nails, mothers helping lift beams, and teenagers passing heavy buckets of cement in long lines. The work was hard, but laughter often filled the air. People told stories, sang old songs, and shared small meals during breaks. It felt like everyone was holding each other up. One afternoon, while working on the bridge, Asha heard someone call her name. She turned and saw a young man carrying a bag of tools. His face looked familiar, but she could not recognize him at first. Then he said, Asha, it's me. Rami. Asha froze. Rami had been her childhood friend before the disasters struck their city. She had not seen him in years. Many people had left the city during the old storms, and she had thought Ramai's family had gone forever. But here he was older, thinner, but alive. Asha ran toward him, and they hugged tightly. Rami explained that his family had moved to a nearby town after losing their home. Recently he heard from travelers that a group in this city had created a healing center, gardens, a school, and a community full of hope. When he learned Asha was part of it, he immediately came back. I thought, maybe I could help too, he said shyly. Asha smiled brightly. We need everyone. I'm glad you're here. For the next few days, Rami worked beside Asha. They talked about their past, how they used to chase butterflies in the old park, how they read stories together when they were young, and how they once dreamed of becoming explorers. Rami told her about the places he had seen, the people he had helped, and the hardships he had survived. The world is broken in many places, he said, but I have also seen many good people trying to fix it. Your city is not alone. His words strengthened Asha's heart. One evening, after finishing work on the bridge, Asha and Rami sat by the riverbank, watching the water reflect the setting sun. The sky was painted with gold, orange, and rose colors. Sometimes, Asha said softly, I think about my parents. I don't know if they're still alive, but I keep hoping. Rami nodded. Hope keeps us moving, even when we can't see the end. Asha looked at him. Do you ever feel tired of fighting? Yes, Rami admitted. But when I see people like you, people rebuilding with nothing but courage, I feel strong again. His words felt like warm light inside her. The next morning, the final section of the bridge was ready to be placed. Everyone in the neighborhood gathered to help. Asha stood with Rami, Layla, Ibrahim, and dozens of others, guiding the large wooden beam into place. It took strength, patience, and teamwork. Children cheered from the riverbank, and old women prayed softly. When the beam finally settled into its place, and the bridge stood whole again, a great cheer rose from the crowd. People hugged each other in joy. Some cried, some laughed. Layla looked at the bridge with tears in her eyes. This is more than a bridge, she said. It connects not just land, but hearts. That night, the city celebrated. The park was filled with singing, dancing, and food. Someone lit lanterns and let them rise into the sky like glowing stars. Sami painted a new mural showing the rebuilt bridge with people crossing it hand. Asha stood under the lanterns, watching them rise higher and higher. She felt Rami stand beside her. What are you thinking? He asked. Asha smiled softly. I'm thinking that we still have a long journey ahead. The world is still hurting. But if we walk together, if we keep helping and believing, then maybe tomorrow will be brighter. Rami nodded. Tomorrow will be brighter, Asha, because people like you refuse to let the light die. Asha looked at the city, the repaired library glowing warmly, the park full of life, the new bridge, strong against the night sky. She placed a hand over her heart and whispered, humanity's spirit can't be broken. Not now, not ever. And in that moment, she felt certain that no matter how many storms came, no matter how many nights felt too long or too dark, the light inside people, the love, the kindness, the courage would always rise again like the sun after a storm. It would guide them toward a better tomorrow. They were still here. They were still strong, and they were not broken.